Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon. So today we'll learn about a Spring Boot Docker example, how to create a Docker image and how to create a application and deploy into a Docker container. So we'll just go through the step by step. For now I'll just cover what the application needs to be Dockerized or maybe containerized, what are the configurations you need to make. So I just created a simple Spring Boot app from the Spring IO. You can refer my earlier videos how you can create a Spring Boot app. You can see just I have created a one Spring Boot app now, and I have created a one health check controller to show how it works, like whether it's up or not to check. And very important thing is to dockerize the application is you need to have a docker file, that is a text file. So you can see I have made a few entries into the docker file, so that docker file path should be with respect to your main or other files for the gradle and everything. So if you say, so this file you need to add it to make it dockerizable, or you need to create a content image out of it. So let's say I made a few of the entries into this file. So what it tells is like from is nothing but which JDK I am using. Currently I am using a JDK 11, so that's why I open it as JDK 11. So you have a JDK 7, 8, like Alpine different versions, you can easily find it out. And argument is like we are passing as this argument as jar argument, like where the jar is located. So if you see that our jar will be located into the build and libs. If you go here, build and libs, you will see the jar is created when you do the gradle build, right? This jar will be created generally. So what we are doing it, we are grouping this jar file into a app.jar. So I'm calling it as app.jar. You can call it any name which you want to do this app.jar. So this entry point is like whenever the Docker is running, so it will start looking for this particular path of the app.jar. So this is that. So these are the arguments like java minus jar. So these are the arguments which we have given it here. So this is the entry point where it will look for. So currently I have added it as app.jar because I am going to build it as a app.jar. So this is a very basic step which I am talking about now. In this tutorial I'll come up with a more advanced tutorial like how to modify the name, how to add a script here to deploy at a one time, so everything. But let us see going forward in the other videos as well. So now we have this all the information. So what you have to do is like one of the basic requirement is I forgot to mention is like you have to install Docker desktop. So I already installed the Docker desktop. You will find a number of links to install into the Docker desktop into your Windows. So make sure that your Hyper-V and the BIOS settings are enabled to do this. So that's why, or else it will not be able to install. Even I faced a couple of issues to install it, but after that, once you enable your Hyper-V and other things, it will be installed properly. So I'm able to run. So when you install first time, you will be able to see just a few basic things from the Docker. You can see this is the by default which Docker provides, that is image. So this is one. So now we will try to deploy our own image now here. So now we have our app created and we have our Docker file created. Let's go to command prompt. So let us see, I'll try to build with a now gradle. So here you can see I'm trying to build with a gradle w. You already know that how you build with a gradle. So if you see, it is running with a gradle w, everything. So now jar will be created for this using a gradle w. I am using -x test because I wanted to skip a text. Okay, so all the tests will be skipped here. So now I am just use the gradle w now. So what you can do is like you can just after that, once you have that gradle w and is all right, you can just create a Docker image. So now what I'll do, I am creating a Docker image. So you can see the different steps I have mentioned here. One, you have to run your build your application, then you have to create a Docker image, then you see that image whether image is created or not by listing those images, then run this image into a Docker and then check for the container. Always whenever you run a Docker image, it will be part of the container, so it will show you the container. Then you can remove from the container or maybe stop from the container for that particular image and then remove from the container itself. So now what we did just a clean and build now. So what we are going to do is like build image. So I am doing it as an app now. This is the command from building your app, or building your image rather than. So it will build a Docker image. So you can see all the progress is happening. It will show all the where it is. So if you see, it is showing that copy build.jars into that. So whatever we are using, right, so it will be shown that. So you can see the now image is built. So what the third step is like, you can see whether the image is really built or not. So what we can do is like, you can see the Docker images. So if you see, if I type Docker images, it will show me the image built with the image ID and everything. So it will take a little time for the first time when we are doing it, and also it depends on your RAM and other things, because in my system I've installed a number of things on the longer, so it's a little bit on a slower side now. So it will show the Docker ID as well. So once you get after Docker images, once you get a image ID, we can run with this command docker run -d -p 8071 and image ID. So let's see if we get that Docker images. Yeah. So if you see Docker images, if you see, I added this is one for built-in, this is the old one which we had, and I didn't remove it. So now if I've given it as app, right, if you see, there is app. So name is app, latest, just now it is built, and this is the image ID. Okay, so what we can do is, like, now let's, using image ID, let's run the Docker now. So what we'll do, every time you deploy, you need to check the image ID. So this is the image ID for now. So now I have an image ID. So if you see, I have mentioned here like 8071 because currently I am running on the port of 8071 here in my local application 8071. So what I want to do is, like, my 8071 will have to map to the 8071 of Docker. So make sure your network, all the ports are enabled in your local system or wherever you're deploying. So what I'm doing, 8071 should map to 8071 only, because to avoid a confusion, I'm just having it as same port number. You can configure it to different port number from the Docker and which is reference to your application as well. So you can have a different port. Application can be 8080 and your Docker can be 8071, but that you have to map it here. So that's why it works here. So now I'm trying to run the Docker image here now. So I'm trying to run the image. So if you see, Docker and image is started now. Let's see if we can see I can see the image is started now here. You see that this is strange William, this is the default names which Docker itself gives. We can change that names as well. I'll update you in the next videos how we can customize these all things. So if you see, now I am running it 8071 Docker app health status. If you go to my health control, Docker app health and status, this is the output I am printing now. So see, now the Docker is up and running, and app is also up and running. Now I can see app is up and running. You can see, you can go to inside this image and you can see the logs and everything. So it will print all the logs, everything inside the Docker. You can see all the initiated, everything, what the version it is. Currently it is a plain simple kind of a hello world app, so you don't see much of the logs. So you can just see it is already available, and stats and everything. So there is not much generating. I'm just access through and all those things. You can see all the information is available now here. So this is how you run the Docker image. Now you can see, you can do see the container details, right? You can do the Docker container PS. So it will show the containers and everything. So it will show what is the container and what is the image ID it is running. So this is the container ID. This is the image ID, which is nothing but our app. So in one container you can run multiple images as well. Okay, and when it started, when it is up and everything, it will show. So it is mapped to 8071 to 807 TCP, and this is the name. So this is how you look the containers as well. So how to stop the container now? Let me show you. Let me copy this. See, I have to copy the container ID, all those things from here. You can get it from here. So when you use a couple of times, I will be used to with these command line arguments, and you can easily use this to run, stop and everything. So now I stopped the container. So if you look at container.ps now, it will show nothing because I stopped it. If you show it here, because I stopped. So now I stopped the container, everything is gone now. So if you see, exited, it's already exited now because I stopped it. So what I will do is, now I'll remove that image itself from the container. So you can use this Docker command to remove it. So what is my image or container ID which we had is, like, this is the one which we had, and this one chat. So we already have it. So what it does is, it's already removed. So you can see now before it was just exited and stopped. You can see it here, but now it is, whole thing is removed now. The whole image itself is deleted from the container now. So if you can, so these are the very simple commands to execute. This is a very plain old example. Okay, just to make sure that we are intact with the basics. So that's why I created this simple video, and I'll come up with advanced videos now. I'll follow up with a whole series of Docker examples. So basically I'm using a Java 11 simple Spring Boot app and Docker desktop I'm using. That's most important to know. So Docker desktop I'm using. So thanks a lot. I'll come up with more videos very soon now. Have a good day. Thank you.